Hello, everyone. Welcome to Captain Hunter's podcast. Welcome to LMH Consulting Services. Thank you so much. I am your host, retired police captain Lawrence Hunter, and we are going to take a look at what's going on in the Aurora, Colorado alleged Venezuelan takeover of apartment buildings, and we're going to try to get through this story as well. See what's going on. I want to give this story a little time to marinate. So the problem with the news is that it's so biased, and they don't want to paint a bad picture, and other things like that. And so I can't tell you how many times we were on scene at different calls, and many times we were reading the newspaper the day after, like, that ain't happened. Where they get this information from? What are they talking about? My eyes red. All right, so let's get into it here. This comes from NPR. Try to get something that's least biased. Aurora police chief says there's no evidence that Venezuelan gang took over an apartment. An apartment or apartment building, right? What? Already playing around. Video of gang members in Aurora, Colorado apartment building had right-wing media declaring the city's takeover by the Venezuelan gangs. Police say that's hyperbole. Ari Shapiro host. National headlines had described an armed Venezuelan gang taking over an apartment building in Colorado. These stories stem from a cryptic video that circulated widely in the news and on social media. Colorado Public Radio's Kyle Harris explained what happened. Let me watch this video. Kyle Harris, blind. Last week, a video from the Denver suburb of Aurora was seemingly everywhere. Well, is this? No, I gotta listen to this. Everywhere in social media, and then started airing on TV stations. It showed men with guns in Aurora apartment building complex, allegedly filmed by a scared resident. We haven't been able to independently confirm the source of the video, but when Donald Trump talked about it on the Lex Friedman podcast, he said the facts are clear. Yeah, well, can you believe what Donald Trump says? Let's see. Donald Trump, you saw in Colorado, Aurora, Colorado, a group of very tough young thugs from Venezuela taking over big areas, including buildings. They're taking over buildings. They have big rifles. Harris, shortly after the video, Colorado's Republican Party sent a fundraising letter claiming that the state is under violent attack. A fundraising letter. Help us out. Give us some money. We're being attacked. And Venezuelan gangs have taken over Aurora. But what's actually true is far from clear. It is true that in the last 2 years, more than 40,000 Venezuelan immigrants have arrived in Denver metro area, and it is true that many now live in Aurora. It is also true Aurora police have recently arrested 10 members of a Venezuelan gang called Tren de la Aragua. But Aurora's interim police chief, Heather Morris, says there's no evidence of a gang takeover of apartment buildings in her city. Her department recorded this video after she talked to residents of the allegedly gang-run apartment video. Heather Morris, I'm not saying that there's not gang members that don't live in this community, but what we're learning out here is that gang members have not taken over this complex. What are they calling it? What are they classifying as a takeover? This is now our only press conference that we're aware of, so thank you so much for coming. Harris, at a press conference called by people who live in the building called the Edge of Lowry, resident Moises Didonat said criminals don't live there at all. Moises, speaking Spanish, he says we're fathers of families, we're mothers of families, we're hardworking people. Didonat says it's the owner of the apartments who's the criminal here for taking the rent but not keeping the building habitable. Dozens of residents cheered as Didonat spoke. Didonat, speaking Spanish, cheering. They say they have no fear of gang members or other criminals other than vigilantes who are promising to bring guns to take back Aurora from Tren de la Agua. They say they have no fear of gang members or other criminals other than vigilantes who are promising to bring guns to take back Tren de la Agua. Tenants walked reporters through the apartments infested with rodents, bed bugs, broken appliances. They said a company that manages them, CBZ Management, doesn't return calls for repairs. In early August, ZBZ emailed reporters a statement from the public relations firm alleging a quote, violent takeover. CPZ owners will not identify who in the company specifically alleged the gang takeover. They did not respond to our request to speak on record. Aurora's mayor, Republican Mike Kaufman, says he is concerned about crime at the apartment, but denies it's a gang takeover. And he calls the owners out of the state's slumlords. Immigrant rights advocate Jennifer Piper with the American Friends Service Committee thinks the apartment owners are alleging a gang takeover to shirk their responsibilities. All this stuff about Tren de la Agua, what does that mean? Train of water? Agua. What does that mean? Agua, train. Yeah. Maybe that's a place in Venezuela. Okay. Is a great distraction from the systemic problems that exist around housing in the city of Aurora. Piper says she hasn't seen xenophobic rhetoric as bad as it is now in her 20 years of advocacy. It's probably because it's worse in the 20 years. Aurora Mayor Kaufman says the buildings are a criminal nuisance. The city of Aurora has been trying to get the building's owners to make the apartments livable for around 2 years and initiated legal action earlier this year. What's next is unclear, but some media outlets continue to report a Venezuelan gang takeover of this fact. All right, so that's that story, right? So they're going to keep. Let's go to YouTube and see if we can take a look at some of this video here. All right, we'll watch some of this video here. This is about
taking over Aurora, Colorado.
We'll watch some of this video here. This is about this is from The Hill. I think they're pretty biased too, but we'll see.
Is a Venezuelan gang taking over Aurora, Colorado? That depends on who you ask. The New York Post is reporting a Colorado landlord has just agreed to sell an apartment complex that was taken over by a violent Venezuelan migrant gang called Tren de Aragua. A Denver law firm hired to investigate the alleged takeover recently issued a report to city leaders. The report found Tren de Aragua gang members had taken over the Whispering Pines apartments in 2023 and have engaged in violent assaults, murder threats, extortion, and child prostitution. Plus, a video last week went viral showing armed men knocking on an apartment door in one of the buildings. In June, attorneys for the landlord sent letters requesting help from local officials and police, claiming Tren de Aragua had, quote, forcibly taken control of the complex. The city deemed the complex a, quote, criminal nuisance and evicted the residents.
But police in the Denver suburb of Aurora deny the Venezuelan gang has taken over this rundown apartment complex. Take a listen to the Aurora police chief, the interim chief rather, Heather Morris.
We've been talking to the residents here and learning from them to find out what exactly is going on, and there's definitely a different picture. I'm not saying that there's not gang members that don't live in this community, but what we're learning out here is that gang members have not taken over this complex. We've really made an effort to the last few days to just really ask the specific questions and the direct questions in terms of the gang activity and who's actually making sure that people aren't paying rent to gang leaders or gang members, that's not happening. And we've discovered here today and yesterday talking to so many residents that that's not the case.
957.
And that was interim Aurora Police Chief Heather Morris. The police department that she runs says that they have established a special task force to address concerns about this gang. That are so far linked to people in the city. And of course, this gang has they've arrested 6 of these gang members. City officials in Aurora also insist that the buildings were run down because of neglect by their property manager. Still, this is what former President Trump is saying about this situation. Let's watch the former president.
Take a look at Aurora in Colorado, where Venezuelans are taking over the whole town. They're taking over buildings, the whole town. And the sheriff, who can blame them? I mean, they have AK-47s. You saw it the other day. They're knocking down doors and occupying apartments of people. The people are petrified.
Yeah, so the revisionist history going on here, I think, is not particularly comforting. Like, okay, maybe the gang is not in charge of or in control of the
They're not
apartment
sending out
building.
rent requests and things like that.
Okay, fine. But as the mayor, I believe this is the mayor, said in a statement.
Mayor Mike Kaufman.
Yes, I certainly believe that there were Venezuelan gang-related problems, as previously reported, that caused the property managers to flee. And he appreciates the work of the police in making multiple arrests relating to Venezuelan gang activity. So it certainly sounds like the Venezuelan gang was operating out of this apartment building, that was a problem, obviously, for the property owner and for the other tenants. And that
I think that the story that we read, right, they said there was 10. What is this? There was 10 people arrested. All right, is this the one I read? All right, so this is the one. This police deny gang takeover. This is one of 9 Latin American migrants and their families demonstrate September 3rd, saying Venezuelans in Aurora, Colorado, being unfairly painted as criminals. Police in the Denver suburb of Aurora say a Venezuelan street gang with a small presence in the city has not taken over a rundown apartment complex, yet the allegation continues to gain steam among conservatives and was amplified by former President Donald Trump from Fox News town hall, where he said Venezuelans are taking over the whole town. The unsubstantiated allegation gained momentum following last month's dissemination of a video from a resident in the complex that showed armed men knocking on the apartment door, intensifying fears that Tren de la Agua wasn't in control of the 6th building complex. Well, I mean, listen, they're making arrests. Here's my thoughts. They're making arrests. Excuse me. They're making arrests. There's obviously something going on. There's obviously some type of criminal activity going on. Whether they're paying these people to live there or, paying a safety tax or whatever nonsense they want to call it. There's something going on there. They got video of it. So, however, city officials indicate that the buildings, along with 2 other apartment complexes, were run down because of neglect by the apartment manager, CBZ Management. Aurora is a diverse city that has long grappled with crime and gangs, and police said they have so far linked 10 people to Tren de la Agua and arrested 6 of them. 10 people, arrested 6, including the suspects of a July attempted homicide. God, dog. But in the visit to the apartments where the armed men were filmed, interim police chief Heather Morris said gang members had not taken over and weren't collecting rent. The remarks came out the Aurora. Mike Kaufman said that criminal elements had taken over some unspecified buildings and were extorting residents. I mean, are residents really going to tell you, these people right over there in apartment 2A, they're extorting me? Are they going to say that? Aurora police agent Matthew Longshore reiterated Thursday in an email to the Associated Press that the agency has confirmed residents are not paying rent to gang members, but they found apartment managers are no longer sending representatives to the complex. Well, there's something going on here, right? They're not getting stuff fixed. They're stopped sending representatives to the complex. The police had to go up there. There's just 6 people. There's obviously something going on here. The city of Aurora is already taking legal action against Zev Baumgarten with CBZ for years of neglecting properties. Years. I mean, how long does it take for you to get involved? And numerous code violations after another building he managed in Aurora was shut down as uninhabitable. Its residents were evicted in mid-August. Trials for Baumgarten that had been scheduled for August and September have been delayed for at least 6 months. CBZ didn't immediately return a telephone call seeking comment, and phone numbers listed for the 2 open apartment buildings managed by CBZ in Aurora were disconnected. After residents held a news conference to speak out against the claims, Kaufman, a Republican and former congressman, conceded he was not sure whether the truth is on all of this. In an interview this week with Denver 7 TV station, Kaufman said the narrative that all of Aurora was unsafe was not true and harmful to the economic health of the rapidly growing city of more than 400,000 people. Yeah, they're not going to admit something like that, right? If you're trying to grow it and trying to get more immigrants to get there, presumably to get more money from the government, house them someplace, they're not gonna admit that. I mean, and what do they do? Do most of these people who are the young working age men, do they have jobs? If they're migrant workers, do they have jobs? I mean, okay, we don't want to paint them all as criminals simply because they're of Venezuelan descent. We get that. But Are they working? Do they have jobs? I mean, what's going on here? Do they have the means to fix up the apartment building? Should they have to do it? Trump has sought to capitalize on concerns over immigration as he seeks a second term in November. At Wednesday night's town hall, he repeated his call for mass deportations after overstating the gang situation in Aurora. Take a look at Aurora in Colorado, where Venezuelans are taking over the whole town. They're taking over the buildings, the whole town. She said, you saw it the other day. They're knocking down doors and occupying apartments. Let's see. I want to see the video here. Social media posts about a video purporting to show migrants taking over a school bus in San Diego, and 911 calls reporting Venezuelan migrants taking over an apartment building in Chicago have also gotten attention lately. Both were unsubstantiated. Many of the migrants from Venezuela and other Latin American countries who live in Aurora complex said there's no gangs there and they're being unfairly painted as criminals. They pinned blame on New York-based CBZ management for refusing to take care of bed bugs, rodents, and constant water leaks despite monthly rents costing $1,200 or more. Residents fear they could be evicted, but the city said Wednesday there were no immediate plans to pursue that option. Okay, so that's that. Let's see if we can get some video here. Migrants approached school buses, did not try to hijack them. Fact check. The claim, illegal aliens attempted to hijack California school buses. On August 29th, Instagram direct link, archive link, includes a clip of a TV news broadcast of an incident involving a school bus and immigrants lacking permanent legal status. The Instagram post received more than 8,000 likes in a day. Similar versions spread widely on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Let's see. Now, let's see if we can see any of these. Let's see if we can get the direct link here. Let's see. Tried to hijack a school bus. Can we see this? This is just a link. The government is trying to silence me, so my account is currently restricted. Follow me on Twitter. Snowflake Lose. Illegal aliens try to hijack 2 buses full of kids in San Diego, calling all patriots as a news organization fueled by people we rely on your support. Okay, but they're saying that these are all unsubstantiated. Can we see? Yeah, these are all, let's see. Oh, we can't get that. Our rating falls. The Post, and this is from USA Today. The Post mischaracterizes 2 incidents involving migrants who approached the school buses at stops on their routes. There were no hijacking attempts, and authorities said no crimes were committed and no one forcibly attempted to stop or enter the vehicles. So they're saying that is false. Listen, there's going to be a lot of kooks out here who are going to try to capitalize on this, try to scare people to vote a certain way and all that. That's unfortunate. Owner forced to sell Colorado apartment complex. Venezuelan gangs have been running apartment despite Aurora cops claiming there's no problem there. This is from the Daily Mail. So let's go to Springfield. Let's see if we can get to Springfield, Ohio. And there's some kind of migrant issue going on there. Migrant and Springfield, Ohio migrant. I think they're Haitians. Let's see if that's right. Let's see. Republicans spread unsubstantiated slur about migrants, Haitian migrants in Ohio City. This is from The Guardian. Let's see. It's PBS. I try to get something that's. All right, let's try it. What's it through NPR, PBS. Let's read NPR. How Springfield, Ohio took center stage in the election immigration debate. In a recent speech at the National Conservative Conference, Vice President candidate J.D. Vance urged the audience to go to Springfield, Ohio. It's not the first time the Ohio senator has spoken about the small Midwestern city. In a presidential race where immigration is taking center stage, Vance has frequently pointed to Springfield as a cautionary tale of unchecked immigration. The town of around 60,000 has received some 15 to 20,000 migrants in the last 4 years, many of them from Haiti. I could not believe it when I first heard about it, Vance said. Ask the people there whether they have been enriched by the 20,000 newcomers in 4 years. The answer to that question depends on whom in Springfield you ask. Is that right? Whom? Okay. Critics, including Vance, warn of strains of city services, while supporters say the influx will eventually lead to the much-needed economic gains and population growth. In many ways, Springfield is a typical Midwestern story. The auto industry was once the backbone of the city. My grandfather worked there. My grandfather worked there. My father, my husband's father, says Wittenberg University economics professor Rachel Wilson, a third-generation Springfielder herself. As the industry shrank, Springfield's population declined precipitously. It was very slow death, says Wilson. The wind has been knocking out of the sail here. Around 2020, things in the town took an unexpected turn. Thousands of Haitian migrants fleeing violence and poverty landed in Springfield. Locals say it felt like it happened overnight. On Sunday afternoon, you could hear Creole mass wafting through the town's downtown streets. Haitian restaurants started popping up. After Creole Mass and St. Raphael Church parishioner Patrick Joseph sat with NPR Rose Goat, one of the Sub-Caribbean eaters in town. He recommended the fish patties, goat stew, and a cold coconut water. As he took a bite, he talked about what the headlines often miss about his country. Haiti is a beautiful place. The sand, the sunshine, all that. Back at home, I don't want to read all that. There's J.D. Vance describes economic depression and white working class alienation in part of Ohio. Middletown, where Vance is from, is just an hour's drive away. A centerpiece of Trump's van allegates migrants are taking American jobs and driving down wages for foreign-borns. Opinions about the migrant influx are varied in this town. Ohio is a swing state. In Springfield, that looks like manicured lawns with Democratic ads standing next to Trump Vance campaign sites, and a few "don't tread on me" flags flying high. There are also plenty of Republicans who say that GOP messaging on immigrants and jobs is way off base. I think this whole notion of migrants taking American jobs is hogwash, says Jamie McGregor, the CEO of McGregor Metal Plant here. That's spoken like a true person who has never made a payroll or tried to, run a business. Yeah, I mean, if the residents there, apply for their jobs, I'm sure that they would get the jobs, but they probably don't want to work for whatever wages or for whatever the company's got going on. Yeah, this whole driving down wages thing. He beams with pride, telling his family owners they arrived in Springfield some 165 years ago. So that's pretty much that. So, the Springfield police told NPR that while the crime has increased in recent years in line with national trends, there's no evidence connecting the rise of Haitian migrants. The police also said there has been no discernible evidence of Haitian gangs in the city, but the influx of migrants has sparked rumors and serious anger. They have become the occupiers, Bailey said. What we've done is they've replaced the population in Springfield. Sounds like a tad bit of racism going on here. Same thing with the Venezuelan type of incident there. I think it's sad that people are using this as an opportunity to spread hate or fear, says Officer Jason Villa, Deputy Director of Public Safety and Operations. We get these reports that the Haitians are killing ducks in a lot of our parks, or the Haitians are eating vegetables right out of the aisle of the grocery store, and we haven't really seen any of that. It's frustrating. As a community, it's not helpful if we try to move forward. Yeah. The rhetoric has gotten so heated, civil rights groups have stepped in. Frankly, it's embarrassing, said Denise DeWilliams, is the president of Springfield NAACP. Williams says she understands concern about the influx, testing, infrastructure, and services. It's an invasion rhetoric that disturbs her and brings back painful memories. I'm not surprised. I'm disgusted. I grew up in an all-white neighborhood, so they're just telling us go back to where you came from. They would trash your yard. I'm 70 years old. I'm still hearing them send them back. Yeah. Let's see what PBS says. Ohio City with Haitian migrant influx thrust into political spotlight. Springfield, Ohio is the center of the most fraught issues in the election. GOP presidential Vance. Haitian legal migrants are draining social services. Springfield has been its population for over 20 years. So all this is going to be the same thing about these different individuals taking over, and it's just it's all disappointing. It's all, just what's going on here. But there's no way to know really what's going on. When you get to stories like this, and what happens is that, sometimes you can't believe, not that the police are deliberately, being deceptive, but what's, they obviously have a mission to, have a certain representation of the crime and the element that's going on there. And they also may not be being told the truth. Are there, extortions going on by these Venezuelan gangs? Do they all have jobs? So it's difficult to see. Is there a hint of racism? Probably. Let's get back to the story, see what they're saying.
Was the root of the problems. You can debate who's in control in a sort of, in that sense.
Who's fielding plumbing requests in the building?
Right. That's not going to put anyone at ease. Oh, they're not in control. They have a presence in the building, and we've had to arrest many of them for crimes.
And I think the mayor used the word infiltrated as the language there to describe the situation.
But so this is being treated as like, crazy right-wing people made up this story, right?
Well, listen, and again, I think this is going to play heavily, right? The optics of that video of that gang that we've seen in the news are certainly troubling images for especially middle America, right? So this is obviously a right political issue. You saw the former president address that in that town hall last week, and we'll see whether that really plays out in tomorrow's debate or on the campaign trail.
I mean, she's vulnerable on this issue, right? For what she said about the border in the past. The border should be decriminalized. I mean, the Democratic Party did her no favors by asking her that and having her, raise her hand.
Let's see if we can check out that video. I haven't seen the video.
Like, I'm told that they are, heavily armed. They patrol the complex. They control who comes in.
It's a scene that seems to be out of a developing nation where corruption and violence run rampant. But this surveillance video is from an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado.
To your knowledge, what are the men in this video doing?
They are going through the complex. Like, I'm told that they are, heavily armed. They patrol the complex. They control who comes in, who goes out. They go from door to door. They have forced their way into many complexes. They have thrown people out.
Aurora City Councilwoman Danielle Jurinsky blames neighboring Denver for its sanctuary policies, which provides services to undocumented migrants, the vast majority not connected to crimes and there to find work. Those seen in this video, though, believed to be associated with the violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, designated by the U.S. Treasury Department as a transnational criminal organization, closely watched by the FBI.
We're certainly tracking that particular gang, TDA, as we would refer to it, whether it's their drug trafficking, extortion, kidnapping for ransom, different kinds of violent crime.
4 Venezuelan migrants associated with the same gang were just indicted for this jewelry store heist in Denver. 2 others believed to be involved in the attack of New York City police officers in Times Square in January. And the suspect in the murder of Laken Riley has connections as well. Venezuela and some other countries have no diplomatic relationship with the United States, which means information about migrants' backgrounds would not be shared.
We have no ability to verify their criminal background or whether they belong to a Venezuela gang, but yet we're still releasing them in the United States.
I don't know much about policy, these types of policies, but how are they even getting here if you have no diplomatic ties with them? I mean, it seems to me that they shouldn't have access to this country. I don't care what their claims are about amnesty or whatever they're claiming. I don't understand why we even let them in the country. I don't even understand why you do that. Do they know about? I mean, again, I don't know, but they've been tested for any type of diseases. I'm assuming so, hoping so. But you don't know the criminal backgrounds.
Former President Donald Trump says if he wins the election in November, he'll implement a mass deportation policy. Vice President Kamala Harris has indicated a shift on border policy with support for a more restrictive approach. In Washington.
Yeah, freaking Harris. You're the one that caused this mess. You the borders are. It's crazy. So if they go through it the right way, then they are tested. So. We verified that they are tested as long as they go through the right ways, tested for diseases, but they still need to have background checks and all that. All right, so let me know your thoughts or your opinions about the stories that we just went through, and just trying to figure out what the story is and what the truth is behind this situation here. And just let me know your thoughts or opinions. I mean, I certainly think that this mess was created by, I'm not a political guy here, but this mess has been created by the current administration, in my estimation. And based on years of just bad foreign policies or whatever. But so, let me know your thoughts or your opinions.